Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, StrangeNet here. So today I want to talk about skill points and the importance of skill points and why skill points are EVE's biggest strength and one of its biggest weaknesses all at the same time. Now, as someone who has 184 million skill points, I've been playing for 19 years and it's taken me 19 years to acquire that many skill points. Now, I do have other characters on this account that also have pretty high skill points, because after a while you get to this point where you just don't really have much that you want to train anymore, and this is what 184 million skill points kind of looks like, or does actually look like. This character can fly pretty much any ship PvP orientated that isn't a capital ship. Now, it's not to say that I don't have some capital skills on here, but you can see pretty much the capital skills I've never maxed because, again, I don't fly capitals very often, but I do have them. Gunnery. And again, you can see pretty much everything that needs to be maxed, other than the 2% just eking out the very... I could do with bombs, I suppose, to max, but the specialization skills which give you the extra 2% for 40 days training time, I haven't done because I didn't. 2% really isn't going to make or break that much. I often fly around in gangs, and therefore having the extra really isn't all that necessary. But you can see I'm at this point now in my character where I don't have a great deal else to train other than, you know, just finishing stuff off for the sake of finishing stuff off. And it gets a little frustrating and a little hard sometimes because you kind of log in and you're like, well, I've got to choose something now. I could do with finishing off the rigging skills, to be perfectly honest, because some of these have some decent drawbacks. Subsystems maxed across the board. And again, you get this kind of weird place where you kind of get to where, you know, you just don't have much else to train. Now, obviously, as a new player coming into the game, you know, you're looking at people that have got 19 years training time in front of you and you're thinking you're never going to catch up. And to some extent, you're not wrong. You are probably never going to catch up with some of the people that have been playing for years, unless you sink an extraordinary amount of money into the game buying skill injectors and the rest of it. But you don't necessarily always need to catch up. And, well, let's put it into some perspective. So, when the game first came out, the Galante characters, for instance, used to be, you couldn't change your attributes. So your attributes were fixed, and they affect your skill training. And some of the Galante characters were fixed with their main attribute being charisma. And for anybody that doesn't know, charisma is an absolutely horrific main stat because, well, other than fleet support skills, there isn't much that needs charisma as a main stat. So the vast majority of things need, well, again, willpower and perception and willpower. And that, again, comes for missiles, perception and willpower, and your gunnery skills. So if you rolled a Galante character at the start of the game, you were hard capped to how many skill points you could get, and that would really put you behind a lot of other players. And again, no one knew at the time really how big a detriment it was, and that basically Caldari characters had a huge advantage over some of the others. I think Amar was pretty decent, but Galante, to say some of them were just struggling from the get-go. But I digress somewhat. So now that you're able to change your attributes, you can get 45 skill points per minute if you min-max everything in regards to your attributes and have the +5 implants. And over the course of an hour, that gives you 2,700 skill points, and over 24 hours gives you 64,800. And we'll times that over the year, which gives you 23.6 million skill points per year. So I've got 184 million skill points divided by 23.4. Oops, 23.4. we did that wrong, didn't we? So 124 divided by 23.4. It'll take you 7.8 years to get to where I am at present. Now, as we've looked, that yeah, okay, that's quite a big number. I'm not going to lie. You know, starting a game and thinking you're 7 or 8 years behind someone straight out the gate is a pretty daunting fact, I'm sure. But the point being is, you don't need 184 million skill points to play the game well. Yes, it's very nice having a character that is pretty much done and dusted. I can fly any sub-capital ship at max with pretty much max weapons, other than, so say, the specialization skills, which gives you the extra 2%. So yes, when doctrines change, I know that I can fly it. There's no problems. I don't have to worry about whether I have the skills. And, you know, as soon as the fleet comes up, I don't have to worry about whether the ships I can fly are, whether I've got the required training for it. But I do have a lot of skills which are overtrained for no real reason. So I have 184 million skill points, but I also have a Mar Dreadnought trained to level 5, which I've never flown, I don't think. So that's 3 million skill points straight off the bat you can get rid of there. I've got Galante 1, which is another 500,000. I've got all the support skills for capitals here that I'm currently training this one to level 5 at a training rate of 30.5. So, you know, I'm not min-maxing my skill point training there, but I'm at that point where I don't really need to. But my general gist there is I have a lot of overdeveloped skill points here. So take that number, and again, you can have a very competitive, well-rounded, decent character for a good 60 million skill points. And 60 million skill points, 23.4 times 3 years, you can have 70 million skill points easily within 3 years, assuming, you know, that's your goal. And that's without actually having to buy any. That's not taking into the million skill points that you can get free. When you first start out, there is a link in the description for anybody that hasn't claimed their million free skill points. I'll put it in the description. You click on it, follow the instructions, and you'll get your million free skill points. So yeah, looking at a game that's 20 years old and thinking I will never catch people that, you know, and I know people with 300 million skill points, which I have absolutely no idea what they train nowadays, because again, I'm not even at 200 million and I can barely find anything left to do. And you can just see here that other than the Dreadnought, which is something I need in order to be able to move the Tech 2 Dreadnought that I've built, because they have really high requirements. Oops, that's for Nagelfar, that's not what I'm after. Yeah, okay. They've not updated it, that's always good. You know, I'm training things that are a Mars strategic cruiser. Yeah, I kind of want that. I've got to finish that off. Surprised I don't have that already, to be honest. But yeah, you don't need 184 million skill points to be competitive or good. Again, you can have a very good character at 50 million skill points. So anybody that's new, looking at the game and looking at, you know, should I buy skill points? Should I do this? As discussed at the start, it's Eve's greatest strength, and I like the fact that things train over time, and that you're not losing out when you're not actually playing the game, that you still have the ability to keep going even if you don't log in for a week, and you've not really lost anything. I think, you know, I like that. I like the uniqueness that comes with that. But as a 24-year-old who started playing this game to where I am now, it was never a rush. It was always basically just a slow, methodical plod. And anybody that is playing the game pretty relentlessly, I understand that obviously comes with some frustration, that you are locked behind actual physical time, which is frustrating. I have new characters where I'm training stuff and I have to wait, and it's like I'm not used to waiting anymore. To be perfectly honest, it's you know, with having a lot of skill points, there isn't that need to wait. So I do feel the frustration when I'm having to wait for skills to train before I can jump in the things that I want to jump in. And obviously now you do have the ability to buy skill points. Something I've never really done, to be perfectly honest, and because, again, as you get more skill points, you get diminishing returns on that as well. So it becomes even less of an incentive to do it. But I think for all the newer people that are starting Eve, will come into Eve, hopefully watch this video, but don't get too bogged down on the fact that people have been playing for a lot longer than yourself, and that it is going to be hard for you to catch up in regards to skill points. Skill points don't make a player, they just aid you in order to be able to shift ships. And again, if you've trained, we'll say, I don't know, Amar cruisers up and you can fly the Tech 2, you can fly the Zealot, chances are you can fly the Zealot pretty much as well as I can, other than the odd 2% here, 2% there, and maybe a 2% slower, which, let's face it, in a group scenario isn't really going to make any difference whatsoever. And, as doctrines change, you change your training strategies, and over time you'll find that, you'll have more and more of them ships available, and before you know it, you'll be sitting at 184 million skill points 20 years later, scratching your head, wondering how you got here, and wondering where the last 2 decades have gone. So with that, thanks for your time, thanks for listening. Don't get too bogged down with the fact that you're starting from scratch. A lot of us have done the same with new characters and the rest of it, so it is frustrating, but it is all part of the journey. And now you have the ability to skip some of that journey if you do want, with buying skill injectors at least, to at least get some of the basic skills and to be able to jump into things a little quicker than you used to be able to. So thanks for your time, thanks for listening, hope that was interesting, give you some perspective on high-end character skill points, and that, yeah, it's nice to have, but it does kind of suck sometimes when you're desperately clambering for stuff to train that is useful and you just don't really have anything left. So I'll talk to you again soon. Thanks for listening.